Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Fed Up, your no BS nutrition podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Marie, certified personal trainer and nutrition specialist, working with clients since 2014. After swimming up diet culture's bullshit stream for so many years, I am fed the absolute up with how miserable it's making people feel when we are supposed to be getting healthier. This podcast is here to help you gain your sanity back so you can stop yo-yoing once and for all and finally learn how to trust yourself so you can enjoy food again without fear or shame while still getting to your health goals. My aim is to teach you how to detect the BS in not just the food and diet industries, but in all realms of life, because I know that, like me, we are all just a little fed up. So without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Okay, welcome to part 2 of how to become an ingredient home without being an almond mom, where last episode we talked about 10 things and 10 ways that you can start to think and move your way towards becoming more of an ingredient household without losing your snack abilities, okay? But today we want to talk about 10 things to specifically avoid becoming an almond mom. And just to review, an almond mom is someone who is maybe trying to control the entire family's food intake. And most things that she is a proponent of is going to be healthy, quote unquote, clean, single ingredient foods. And sometimes she has other food rules. So there's not just like, okay, you like almonds or okay, you like to make things from scratch. That's what we're differentiating here is you can eat healthy and prioritize baking and cooking from scratch and healthful food choices without being overly restrictive, overly controlling, only having 3 to 5 almonds as a snack, quote unquote, right? That's the trope is you go to quote unquote an almond mom's house and you want a snack, you're hungry, and she gives you a handful of almonds. So what we're going to do to avoid being an almond mom, but still prioritize health and nutrition and baking and cooking at home and from scratch. I love all of those things, but it doesn't have to be from this dichotomous pedestal of I eat all organic, I eat everything in natural, because you sound like a bimbo. It doesn't mean anything to any of us who actually know anything about nutrition. And to those who don't know anything about nutrition, you just sound like you're better than everybody else and making them full of shame. And it doesn't help improve anybody's nutritional choices. That's the thing. It actually makes people choose worse, or they choose not to eat and develop disordered eating behavior or binge eating behavior, bulimia, anorexia, other things that are actually very serious issues that might stem from this mindset or these comments of, well, everything has to be clean or everything has to be 5 ingredients or less, and it has to have everything that you can pronounce, and all these like food rules that are truly just bullshit diet culture marketing schemes and has nothing to do with actual health for you or your family. So how do we avoid doing those things while still promoting healthy, diverse, plant forward, protein forward, fiber forward nutrition? Let's get into it. 10 things, just like last episode we're going through. And of course, they all have everything to do with each other. I probably could have narrowed this down by half, but 10 is just a fun number to read through real quick. I cannot talk today. I'm trying to get this rolling, and we're just going to deal with all the mistakes and fumbling over my words. So no retakes here. Let's do it. Number 1. I don't want you to start comparing from scratch home cooked meals to store-bought up from your high horse. Meaning, if you do get into baking bread, fantastic. Bake that bread, sweet pea. Love it. I love homemade bread. I cook a lot of bread. I bake a lot of bread. I eat a lot of bread. But I also still store buy my bread pretty regularly. I don't always want to bake it fresh every single week. I don't hold myself to that standard, and neither should you unless you love it, you do it, practice it, awesome, hooray. There are periods of time where I have done that every single week. But 52 weeks in a year is a long freaking time and a lot of loaves of bread. And if you have a bigger family that eats a lot of bread, sometimes that can be really obnoxious. Or personally, I like multiple types of bread in my home at all times. Yes, I live alone. Yes, I eat that much bread. I don't like making bagels. I haven't really made bagels. I think you have to like boil them or something. That sounds weird. One day I'll master it, but I don't need to make bagels. I just buy the bagels, right? I don't need to make sandwich bread every single week. I can just buy a loaf. But there are a lot of weeks or some Sundays that I do a fresh loaf of bread and it's amazing. Or I do fresh hamburger buns, or I do fresh whatever it may be, fill in the blank. That doesn't mean that it's better or anything than store-bought. And even if you think it is, even if it's like, yeah, it tastes better, it makes the house smell better, like all of the better reasons, you'd want to keep it out of your mouth and keep it out of your mindset that like, oh yeah, this is so much better than when you just buy Sara Lee bagels from the store. It's like, yes, it is, because honestly, homemade anything is usually better, but there's a reason and there's a place for those other foods, and you don't need to shit on it in order to elevate your own homemade stuff. So you'll see that theme throughout these 10 things. So number 2, speaking of, we're not going to demonize those certain ingredients or those certain other foods or store-bought things. Just because it's a chemical, everything's a chemical, besides maybe light and like energy, that's a little different, but everything's a chemical, okay? And you don't know what the marketing propaganda doesn't tell you. And just because you don't pronounce something right doesn't mean someone else somewhere can pronounce that food or can pronounce that chemical. That doesn't make it healthier or not healthier, right? And for you to say like, oh, it has chemicals in it, blah, blah, blah. Water is a chemical, right? Hydrogen and oxygen. Those are elements that form chemicals and molecules. Chemistry does not have to be scary. You just have to educate yourself about it. I have lots of episodes. Go back to the very first one, I think was all chemicals are poison, which is true. Poison is based on the dosage and the context. I always give the example, there is a difference between drinking water and inhaling water, right? There's a difference between water in certain areas of your body versus if you get like water in your veins or something directly, like that's, I don't know, there's just certain thing, or oxygen directly in your veins. I don't know which one will kill you. Anyway, everything has a context, everything has a dosage. And again, if we're going to become an ingredient household, you can do those things and cook at home and have ingredients and be healthy without making it about, well, I can pronounce the word flour. Okay, if you actually broke down the chemical composition of flour, I bet you anything you won't be able to pronounce those words. Chemicals are named by this, like, what do they call it? Like a worldwide standardized way of naming chemicals by their structure. So benzene, ben means 5. No, ben means 6. Zine means it's an alkene. So benzene ring is a 6-membered carbon ring with alternating double bonds. That's all benzene means. Just because you can pronounce benzene doesn't mean benzene's safer or healthier in many contexts than other things that you can or cannot pronounce. Again, it has nothing to do with anything, okay? And then you're just also basing it off of like, okay, so like really smart people or chemists who do and can pronounce these things, are they digesting things differently because they're able to pronounce? Like, just think about the fucking logic there. I get it. It's like, oh, avoid things with long and complicated names. But again, if you were to look at the chemical composition of a freaking apple, you would not be able to pronounce all those names. So just stop with that. It's bullshit. Number 3, you are not going to restrict or control anybody else's plate. If you are the grocery shopper, if you are the main chef, the cook, whatever it is, you are the provider of food, you can provide certain foods without the commentary, all right? Which we'll get to even more as we go on today. But what you buy, what you keep in your home, what you decide to cook for dinner, you can decide all of those things. You can provide the vegetables every single time. That's up to you. But keep the commentary to yourself. And I'm going to talk to parents particularly. Do you remember your mother, your own mother or father, forcing you to eat certain vegetables or to do a certain chore to earn ice cream, whatever it may be? You probably still hate that food. My I know somebody who used to say, like, I used to fall asleep at the kitchen table because I want to eat so-and-so, and like my mom wouldn't let me leave the kitchen table. So everyone would go to bed and I'd still be at the kitchen table for hours and hours until like I'd wake up and it was the morning. So you don't want to do that. I know it's challenging to get children to eat. I know. I personally will even say, like, I have not been responsible for feeding littles 24/7. I don't know what that's like, okay? But as far as we know, within what I've learned, the more that you force, restrict, control, give contingencies to earn certain foods or certain behaviors, whatever it may be. Oh, you need to eat all your vegetables, then you can earn screen time. It has a counterproductive result. So when you do that, when you're like, you have to eat your green beans, then you can earn your TV time. Whatever the green beans are, it could actually be cookies. If you're like, finish all your cookies and then you can have screen time. You do that enough times, the kid is not going to like cookies. Like, I kind of picture the cake scene in Matilda. If you think about yourself on a road trip and you eat nothing but like fast food and candy all day long, next thing you know, you're like, I just really want a salad or like a good steak and potato. I don't want another potato chip and Twix candy bar. We naturally do regulate, but what happens is our parents, our guardians, our siblings, whoever it is, our environment typically will start to put different connotations and commentary around what we're eating, how much we're eating, how often we're eating, whatever it may be. Or we have to earn behavior or earn food through certain behaviors, and we're fucking it up, okay? Every research since like the 70s and 80s that they have looked at like what makes kids want to eat their vegetables or not, and parenting feeding behavior. I'm forgetting the woman who's really like spearheaded it, but there's a small group of people that really started this research, and now there's been a ton where it's like, it's really hard to study though too, because even it's either observational, where we're just kind of taking a survey and looking at the studies or the families in the study and like finding correlations and like patterns, or we bring kids into like laboratory settings, which is very different than what they're getting at home. And it's hard to really mimic this. But overall, what they find is when parents have this, what we call authoritarian type of feeding practice, they force, control, restrict. They really are putting these like restrictions and limitations and directives on their kids about how they eat. It has a terrible effect. You can also have permissive parenting, which is like neglectful almost. You just, oh, whatever's in the fridge, here, have at it. Here's a bunch of money to eat out all the time. Like there's just no regulatory behavior at all. That's also not good. And then you have what we call authoritative, which is where we provide healthful food options without saying shit. And the reason is kids especially are trying to build autonomy. You tell them to do something, they want to do the opposite, right? But for some reason, especially with food, the more you try to tell them to eat their vegetables, the less they're going to like their vegetables and the less vegetables they're going to eat. Then what can happen is you hit college or your child grows up and ends up having to feed themselves. If you've been super restrictive and controlling, that child might end up as an adult with binge eating disorder. Or all of a sudden it's, wow, I've never had Oreos or Pringles before. And now that's like hyper palatable to them, right? So now they have zero self-control around it because they've never had to practice the self-control around it. It's never been available before. So what they say is, okay, you provide the meals. You say we're having chicken and veggies and macaroni and cheese. You say we're having this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for dinner. And you want to make sure that you're respecting your child's preferences, okay? You can't just give them something brand new they've never had before and expect them to eat all of it, okay? That's just not going to happen. But you know the foods your child does like, so include some of those. And then you can include new foods, and they're not going to touch it. Over and over and over again, they're not going to touch it. The more you tell them to touch it, the less they're going to want to touch it. So you don't say shit. You don't say anything, okay? They're going to eat only the bread at Thanksgiving. Don't say shit. They're going to eat only the freaking mac and cheese. They're not going to touch their vegetables. They're not going to touch their chicken. Don't say anything, all right? And then you just keep doing that eventually the kid is like, oh, there's no like crazy behavior that happens when I like don't eat my broccoli. Like kids are just looking for attention. And when you give them negative attention, they keep doing that because it's attention. Like it's their dogs. They're learning what's good. And for a baby, what's good is attention, even if that attention is negative. And when I say baby, I mean like all of childhood. That's all we're trying to do is get attention from our adults. And then we turn into adults who have no idea how to self-regulate. Anyway, so I want you to know number 3 is like highlight number 1 through 3 is really one big thing of like, don't demonize, restrict, control, leave all of that at the door and mind your own plate and let other people mind their own plate. All right, moving on. Number 4, don't have to buy organic, natural, blah, 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 to try and be healthier. It's okay to buy store-bought, store brand, conventional, frozen, canned. It's okay to buy things that quote unquote are not considered like bodybuilder style approved or Whole30 approved or whatever it is. Stay away from those labels and those stickers because it's just adding more dollars and cents to your price tag and it's not necessarily helping your health at all. And with that, I mean, I literally have made so many episodes on like you don't have to have organic or natural and all that stuff. So go back, find those episodes. But it's okay to just buy normal freaking food. It's okay to sometimes buy white bread if you genuinely enjoy white bread. Also, maybe you can buy some hearty seeds and grains with 7 grams of fiber per slice. Sure. But like, you don't have to do that every single time. If you just want plain freaking bagels, sometimes that's okay, right? Number 5, I don't want you to be overly restrictive about going out, eating takeout, pizza, cookies, ice cream, all of the stuff that's considered like really bad. My next episode, I really want to talk about what it's like being a server and like a nutritionist. It's an interesting little spot that I am when I'm serving tables. And it's so hard sometimes not to say anything because people want to tell you like what they're doing or like why they can't order dessert or like, oh, I'm going to be bad and order fries. And I freaking hate it. So like, don't be overly restrictive because most of those people end up binging it later. They end up falling off the wagon. They end up being so overly restrictive during the day or during the week that at night or on the weekends, they have zero self-control left, okay? We only have a finite amount. And if you're white-knuckling your way through restrictive behavior, you're going to end up crashing and burning in a binge. So don't be too overly restrictive. Allow yourself a pizza night once a week if you love pizza. Allow yourself to order dessert when you go out on date night because it's a special time. And the more that you do that, the more you can practice just having a few bites and putting down the fork. The less you like mentally even allow yourself to have that dessert, the more you're going to eat it super fast and then like feel guilty later. And then like it's all this whole weird snowball effect that we don't need to be doing to ourselves. So don't be overly restrictive. Number 6, I don't want you to do too many things at once. I don't want you to try to buy all these new things or too much stock or cook all new recipes every single day of the week. Like start small. This is the whole theme of everything that I coach is we're going to start a little bit small. And yes, like you want it to be challenging. You want to challenge yourself to new things, but you also don't want to do too many things at once that it becomes so overwhelming that then you quit. So I want you to pick one thing, pick a couple of things, snowball it rather than just trying to take the elevator up too many steps at once. Number 7, I don't want you to hold yourself to too high of a standard. It takes reps. It takes practice. It takes time. You don't have to be a crunchy almond mom or not. Like it's not one way or the other. You can find balance and you don't have to beat yourself up when you have just like a craving for Oreos and you're like, well, I don't want to home make Oreos. Yeah, fuck that. Okay. Just buy the goddamn Oreos. And the more that you practice just having a little bit of grace for yourself and creating more realistic patterns of behavior, the less you're going to go to those extremes. There is middle ground. That being said, number 8, I don't want you to restrict your snacks, meaning if you only eat 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day, you might need 2 or 3 snacks in between, and that's okay. And some of those snacks should be convenient foods. If you need some pre-made protein shakes that you can just grab and go, some Cliff bars, some things that you're like, I don't know, crackers or different, like I like nuts, but I don't really eat like plain nuts. They either need to be like roasted, salted, or seasoned somehow. Or like I bought some kettle cooked cinnamon cashews recently and those were really, really good. So like I'm going to buy the stuff that are quote unquote, you might think, oh no, I should just buy regular cashews. Like the cinnamon covered kettle cooked ones are probably not super healthy. Hey, if that's what's going to get you to eat the cashews, great. Don't compare real fruits to like fruit snacks. Those are not equitable. I don't really know why we eat fruit snacks and why they're children's food because like it's just a sugar gusher. Like it's actually candy. So they did some brilliant marketing by calling it fruit snacks. I love it. But by the way, no fiber, I think it does have like vitamin C, which could be good. But if you're giving your kid like a multivitamin or they're drinking juice at all, they're probably fine. Anyway, that's a side tangent. You want to make sure that you're eating enough calories throughout the day, eating enough protein and fiber and all of those things so that you're not, again, overly restricting yourself and then having like a binge later or feeling like crap. If you're like not a binger, you could just go all day without eating and then you wonder why you're cranky, you're irritable, you're sad, you have no energy to like go and do the things that you wanted to do in the evening because you have not fed yourself all day. So don't be too restrictive in freaking general. Number 9, don't be too restrictive on your salt and your seasoning and the way that we cook things. It's okay to fry some things, cook some things in oil if that's the thing that you're making that night, right? It's okay to add a little sugar to things. I love adding brown sugar to my sweet potatoes and I love adding sugar and cinnamon to oatmeal and things like that, right? So like it's okay to make things taste better so that you're eating them. There's always this kind of funny thing where like I had a client was like, I saw this commercial where they were serving their children broccoli and the kids were, ew, ew, ew. Nobody likes broccoli. And then the mom poured Velveeta over it, Velveeta cheese. And then the kids were really happy with broccoli. And I was thinking in my head, oh yeah, that's brilliant because at least the kids eat broccoli and they get a little bit of fat, which actually helps them absorb some of the nutrients in the broccoli and helps them actually get some calories and nutrients too. And her whole thing is like, it's not even broccoli anymore. And I'm thinking like, where did the broccoli go? Like you're still eating the broccoli. So don't get into that mindset where if you're seasoning things or dipping carrots in ranch or covering it in cheese, that all of a sudden like the nutritive profile is different. Yes, you might be adding calories. Yes, you might want to watch that if you're trying to lose weight or something else, but like use all the seasonings in the world. Okay. Number 10 is super duper important. Do not ignore your habits. You will spend $200 on healthy, home-bought grocery food, and then you go spend $20 on lunch the next day. Okay, you need to take inventory of your habits, of what you're doing, of how often you're eating out, and why you're eating out. If you are a binge eater, and I'm not even saying that like as a clinical way, a lot of people binge eat the same way that we binge drink. It's kind of just like socially acceptable. So you're dieting Monday through Friday, and then you go out with your friends, and you have like a big meal and dessert and appetizers. Oh, it's no big deal. You're at a restaurant and like, yes, enjoy yourself. But a lot of people will do that after they've been like super restrictive during the week. Whereas if you just kind of like, okay, it's just a random Tuesday and you're going out for dinner and it's not a big deal and you're getting something that is delicious and yummy and is probably higher in calorie and saturated fat because you're getting it from a restaurant. So regardless, when you find balance, you can have some of that takeout, have pizza night, all that stuff. But you can also maybe be realistic with how often you need to be eating out or like, okay, I'm going to really try. But like sometimes my coworkers go out to lunch and I don't want to miss it or I don't want to eat out of a brown paper bag. That's lame. Okay, then allow yourself one lunch a week. Like one lunch a week is not that big of a deal, right? So look at your habits, be realistic with it. Look at what's triggering those habits. Is it a lack of time? Is it a lack of preparation? Is it you're so fatigued at the end of the day and you work really long hours that like coming home to cook is really obnoxious? Okay, how can we fix that, right? Like what can we start to do slowly but surely to make sure that our intentions are actually matching our habits, our lifestyle, our behavior, instead of being like so ridiculously out there that you end up just not even trying, or you try for like 2 days and you're like, that's impossible. So the challenge and your skill level and your knowledge and your habits and your behavior and like your actual life need to match. Okay? So those are my 10 little things for how to be avoiding an almond mom type of vibe and instead being the one that home makes cookies and doesn't say shit about, well, you can only have one, otherwise you're going to get diabetes. Like, don't say shit like that, okay? It doesn't, also, sugar is not how you get diabetes, but we'll say that for another episode. So join me next week. I'm going to be talking about how being a nutritionist and a server has its interesting moments and just my experience with that, but also some things that like maybe you didn't even realize you were doing because it does happen so naturally. And I think it's passed down from our mothers and our aunts and our big sisters and the media and Hollywood and social media and all of that stuff where it's like common to talk about like, oh, I don't have any room. Oh, how can you eat that much? And make comments on other people's food, or you're trying to hide your own insecurities about stuff. So a lot of people will comment on how much they're eating, or I don't know, they try to justify what they're ordering. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit more detail, and maybe I'm calling you out personally, or I also might give you just a little bit of advice of how to deal with those people if you are someone who goes out with coworkers or friends or family and they are always talking about what they're not eating or what they're going to eat or how much you're eating. I know this is a big issue with people in certain families, in certain circles, and it's like so socially acceptable, and I don't think it should be. So we're going to talk about more minding your own plate next week. I hope to see you then. Don't forget to leave me an honest and lovely review, if you don't mind, and I will catch you on the other side. Have a good one. Bye. Thanks so much for being here, friends. If you enjoyed this episode, please screenshot and tag me over on Instagram or leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening from. Your support means the world to me and only helps me get the no BS news out to more people. If you're interested in working with me in nutrition or personal training, check out my programs and courses on my website at kaylamariefitness.com and on Instagram at kaylamari_fit. See you next week.